Hello, and welcome to this sherry wine tasting. Join us for the next few minutes and discover why these wines are just as amazing as they are extraordinary. Are you ready? First of all, pour all 6 wines and arrange them in the order indicated on your tasting mat. We suggest you use thin glass white wine stemware for this tasting. Wine tasting has 4 phases. The visual phase, in which we analyze all the features that are perceptible to the eye, such as color, brightness, and density. The olfactory phase, in which we smell the wine in order to name the sensations we perceive on the nose, such as flowers, fruits, wood, or spices. The tasting phase, which, in addition to perceiving the 4 basic flavors, sweet, salty, sour, and bitter, the tactile features are also important. The temperature, the body, and astringency of the wine. The retronasal phase, or finish. After swallowing wine, some of its volatile components evaporate and return to the nasal region. Sherry wines, you will notice, have a very long finish rich in nuances. Let's start with Manzanilla. What do you know about this kind of wine? Before tasting it, here are a few details to keep in mind. It's made from Palomino grapes. It's aged following a system known as Criaderas y Solera in Sanlúcar de Barrameda. Manzanilla ages under a layer of yeast called velo de flor. Now observe the wine without swirling it. Observe its color, a straw yellow to a very pale golden shade. When you swirl it, you'll see how it glimmers brightly and is light in texture, barely forming tears on the glass. Manzanilla is sharp on the nose and displays hints of baked goods, almonds, flowers. On the palate, Manzanilla is very dry and fresh, with low acidity and an elegant touch of bitterness. Now it's time to enjoy it. Here are a few tips to follow. Serve Manzanilla well chilled, between 6 and 8 degrees centigrade. This wine is made by the sea, so it pairs perfectly with fish and seafood, fried, grilled, stewed, or with rice. Due to its low acidity, Manzanilla is ideal with cold soups like gazpacho or ajo blanco, or with salads and marinades. Our next wine is Fino. Fino is made with Palomino grapes, and just like Manzanilla, is protected from any contact with oxygen while it ages under the velo de flor. Its bright color ranges from straw yellow to pale gold. It has a sharp aroma, with hints of yeast, almonds, and grassy notes. Tasting it, you'll notice that it's extremely dry, yet fresh and delicate, with a finish full of almond and saline notes. The best way to enjoy a glass of Fino is to serve it well chilled, between 6 and 8 degrees centigrade. It's perfect with tapas, cleansing the palate with every sip. Try it with Iberian ham or other cured meats, and with salt-cured appetizers like olives, or with fish and seafood. Now let's move on and taste an Amontillado. Amontillado is a very special wine, also made entirely from Palomino grapes. Just like Fino and Manzanilla, this wine has also been aged under velo de flor, but in a later phase is exposed to air, known as oxidative aging. The first thing that attracts our attention is its color, ranging from amber to topaz, at times with a touch of mahogany or orange-colored hues. On the nose, you'll find it intense, with hints of yeast from aging under velo de flor, along with other aromas like hazelnut and seasoned wood from the oxidative aging phase. On the palate, Amontillado displays enormous complexity. It's dry and warm, with a balanced acidity and a very long finish, reminiscent of rich wood and nuts. Amontillado should be served cool, around 12 degrees. You'll be surprised how well it pairs with dishes that other wines would never be capable of matching. Smoked products, game, spicy stews or vegetable dishes like asparagus, wild mushrooms or artichokes. Now it's time to taste an oloroso. Made from Palomino grapes, oloroso is aged by oxidative means only, so grape alcohol is added until it reaches 17% by volume, causing the layer of yeast to disappear and thus exposed to air. This contact with oxygen is what gives oloroso its intense amber or mahogany color. On the nose, it's powerful and complex. Notes of rich wood and spices mingle with nuts, tobacco and leather. It's absolutely brimming with nuances that come together in a most harmonious way. On the palate, oloroso is warm, intense and full-bodied. Although dry, its glycerin content gives it a very pleasant mouthfeel and a prolonged aftertaste which brings back notes of rich wood, leather and nuts. The best way to enjoy oloroso, at around 12 degrees centigrade and paired with dishes that compare in intensity. Mature cheeses, game, stews, particularly those made with gelatinous cuts of meat such as oxtail or pork cheeks. Our next wine is cream. Made from a blend of oloroso and Pedro Ximénez, which is why it's also known as sweet oloroso. It has a beautiful mahogany color with orange reflections. When you swirl it, you'll notice it's dense due to its sugar content. On the nose, the typical aromas of oloroso appear. Rich wood, nuts, but also the unmistakable notes of raisins that Pedro Ximénez brings, and then an interesting layer of citrus notes like orange peel. Cream has a silky, smooth mouthfeel, with a very balanced, not overpowering sweetness and a nice, long aftertaste. Served between 10 and 12 degrees centigrade, cream pairs deliciously with foie gras, spicy food or cheese, or alongside very sweet desserts. It's also spectacular as an aperitif, served on the rocks and garnished with a slice of orange. And now the king of all natural sweet wines, Pedro Ximénez. It's made from grapes of the same name. These are sun-dried to concentrate their sugar content and then aged following the criaderas y soleras system. Pedro Ximénez has a lovely dark mahogany color, at times almost ebony, which makes it hard to believe that this wine actually comes from a white grape. In the center of the glass, it's completely opaque with iodine reflections. You'll readily see how its extraordinary density tinges the wine glass with its tears. The first impressions on the nose are the sun-dried fruity aromas of honey, raisins, dry figs and dates. But when you swirl it, secondary notes like roasted coffee, caramel or licorice appear. On the palate, Pedro Ximénez is rich and velvety, with an acidity that offsets its pronounced sweetness. Nuances of honey, raisins and fruit compote blend seamlessly to finish on notes of caramel, coffee and licorice. Pedro Ximénez should be served at a slightly cool temperature, around 12 degrees centigrade. And although it's considered a dessert wine, it actually is a dessert and an excellent complement to ice cream, dark chocolate, and blue cheeses like Cabrales or Roquefort.